It was a warm August evening in Dublin when 36-year-old Elaine O'Hara walked into Shanganagh Park, alone and unnoticed. The sun had dipped behind the hills, leaving the park in a muted orange glow. To anyone passing by, it might have looked like the end of a quiet summer day. But for Elaine, this walk was not casual, not spontaneous, not free. She had left her phone behind in her apartment, still plugged into its charger. Her car sat parked near the cemetery she had visited earlier, with the keys left inside. And she was following specific instructions, steps she had been told to take, one, by someone she trusted far more than she should have. As she moved deeper into the park, she approached a jogger and asked him for directions to a bridge that crossed the railway tracks. Minutes later, he saw her again, walking onto that bridge, slowly and deliberately. That was the last time anyone saw Elaine O'Hara alive. The next morning, her phone remained untouched, the charger still connected. Her car still sat near the cemetery. Her father, who had spoken to her just the day before, began to sense something was wrong. What followed after her disappearance would become one of Ireland's most disturbing criminal investigations, an investigation that uncovered manipulation, coercion, a hidden double life, and a pattern of fantasy escalating into lethal violence. It revealed a man who presented himself as a respected professional, but who lived in a world of dark impulses. And it exposed how the vulnerabilities of a lonely woman were exploited with deadly precision. Elaine O'Hara. Elaine O'Hara lived a modest, hard-working life. She worked as a childcare assistant and part-time at a newsagent in Black Rock Shopping Center. Those around her described her as gentle, patient, warm, and genuinely caring, especially with children. But beneath her kindness was a long and difficult battle with mental health. Since adolescence, Elaine struggled with anxiety, depression, and low self-worth. During more overwhelming periods, she admitted herself into psychiatric care, openly and without shame. Her co-workers knew this, her friends knew this, and her family, especially her father Frank, supported her through every step. She and her father shared an unusually close bond. They saw each other multiple times a week, spoke constantly, and relied on one another for comfort and stability. If anyone knew when Elaine was struggling, it was Frank. On July 14, 2012, Elaine voluntarily admitted herself into the hospital during a mental health crisis. Doctors monitored her for several weeks. Her condition improved steadily, and by August 22nd, she was cleared for discharge. Before leaving, she told a friend she felt optimistic and was looking forward to volunteering at an upcoming festival. That same afternoon, she had lunch with her father, and afterward she went to visit her mother's grave at Shanganagh Cemetery. By 4 p.m., she and her father said goodbye. Neither of them could have known it was their final conversation. The next morning, Elaine didn't show up for her ride to the festival. Her father grew concerned and drove to her apartment. Her iPhone was still plugged in, a major red flag because Elaine never forgot her phone, especially not when leaving home. Frank sent her a gentle, familiar text message. "Are you alive?" It was his way of playfully checking in when she was quiet. This time, there was no response. The following morning, he returned. Her car was gone, her phone still untouched. This was no longer a delay or a misunderstanding. This was fear. Frank reported his daughter missing. When police searched her home, they found items that raised immediate questions. Ropes, chains, a black latex suit. Her diary pointed officers to a BDSM website where Elaine had an active profile. Investigators quickly realized that Elaine had been involved with someone in a dominant, submissive relationship. But who was this man? How long had it been going on? And had this dynamic placed her in danger? On August 24th, 2 days after she vanished, Elaine's car was discovered parked at Shanganagh Cemetery, the same place she had visited her mother's grave the day she disappeared. A witness recalled seeing a distressed woman lying on the grass days earlier, sobbing uncontrollably. Investigators confirmed the final known sighting, Elaine speaking to a jogger at 5:40 p.m., asking for directions to the railway bridge. He later passed her again walking onto that bridge. After that, she was gone. Posters were printed, news outlets broadcast appeals, but as months passed with no trace, the case faded quietly from public attention. There were no sightings, no evidence of struggle, no suspects, only a woman who had vanished without explanation. It wasn't until 1 year later, on August 21st, 2013, that the first major breakthrough surfaced. A woman walking her dogs through a privately accessible wooded area in the Dublin mountains noticed one of her dogs carrying a bone. She assumed it belonged to an animal and dismissed it. Weeks later, returning to the same area, she found her dogs digging again. This time, she noticed what looked like human-sized bones, tracksuit bottoms, a shoe, and fragments of skeletal remains scattered in the undergrowth. She realized she wasn't looking at animal remains. She was looking at a human being. Police sealed the area immediately. Another witness stepped forward saying that a year or two earlier, he had seen unsettling objects in the same woods: strings tied to trees, torn plastic sheeting, plastic bags, a stick embedded with nails, and a jar of Vaseline. A disturbing picture was forming.